The Sacrament of Holy Orders. What's the Catechism say? Holy Orders is the sacrament through which the mission, entrusted by Christ, to his apostles continues to be exercised in the Church until the end of time, thus it is the sacrament of apostolic ministry. It includes 3 degrees, episcopate, presbyters, and diaconate. The sacraments of holy orders and marriage are received so the recipients may dedicate themselves towards the salvation of others. The sacraments do contribute to salvation of the recipient but only because the recipients work for the salvation of others. Initially, every man was his own priest, and presented his own sacrifices before God. Later, the office of priesthood became the responsibility of the male head of the family, to act as a mediator between God and his family as in the cases of Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Job. The term priest is used in Genesis chapter 14 verse 18 to 19. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, and being a priest of God Most High, he blessed Abram with these words, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, the Creator of heaven and earth." In the book of Leviticus the office of the priesthood was limited to the tribe of Levi, and family of that tribe, the family of Aaron. Qualifications of priesthood are given in Leviticus chapter 21 verses 16 to 23. We read of the establishment of priestly garments in Exodus 28:40 to 43. The ordination rite is described in Exodus 29:1 to 37. Priestly duties are described in Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Malachi. Why is the word priest not used in the New Testament? The word priest cannot be found in the New Testament, in reference to the apostles. The word priest was associated with pagan priesthood and their animal sacrifices. Christians avoided the term. Jews already had priests in the temple, so there was no need to duplicate the position in the Christian Church because it would only bring confusion to its meaning. It wasn't until the destruction of the temple in 70 AD the term priest came to be associated with Christianity. Priestly celibacy. The reason Jesus was celibate may be seen in his own words about those who remain unmarried. After he rejects divorce as accepted in the law of Moses, his disciples say that it is not expedient to marry. Jesus then speaks about those incapable of marriage. Jesus mentioned 3 classes of eunuchs, including those who made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom. This is generally understood in a metaphorical sense of voluntarily foregoing marriage in order to serve the kingdom. The requirement of celibacy for the priestly clergy came into being at the local synod in Elvira, Spain in 399. But celibacy is not for everyone any more than marriage is. God gives the gift of the single life to some, the gift of the married life to others. This call to celibacy does not diminish the importance of marriage. Marriage, like holy orders, is a sacrament, and one of the 7 signs through which Christ's continuing presence remains active in his Church. In marriage, the spiritual and physical relationships between husband and wife become a holy symbol of Christ's love for the Church. When was the sacrament instituted? Matthew 28 verses 19 and 20, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you, and lo, I am with you always, to the close of the age." The grace of the sacrament imprints an indelible character on the soul of the recipient. Only baptized men may receive the sacrament of orders. The sacrament can only be received once in each of its 3 degrees: deacon, priest, and bishop. In the Western Roman Rite only men willing to embrace celibacy may be ordained as bishops and priests. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, married men may be ordained as deacons and priests. Only those who are celibate may be ordained as bishops. Unmarried men may be ordained as deacons if they embrace celibacy. Married men may be ordained as deacons if they are willing never to marry again, even if a wife should die unless Rome should agree to an exception. There is a time of intellectual and spiritual preparation which greatly varies from place to place. Unmarried deacons who are celibate may become priests. The bishop is the only one to receive the sacrament 3 times, once as a deacon, again as a priest and, lastly as a bishop. Only bishops can confer the sacrament of holy orders. The bishops are the successors of the apostles and have the responsibility for the universal church, as well as their local church and diocese. Since all bishops have a responsibility to the universal church, only those men called to the episcopacy by the Pope can be ordained as a bishop. Bishops are subject to church law and are viewed as heretical if they don't follow the doctrine of the church. Apostles ordained bishops by giving them the Holy Spirit through the imposition of hands. This ritual continues today in an unbroken line of succession. Bishops are the teachers of faith. Priests are the bishop's co-workers and do not have the fullness of Christ's hierarchical priesthood. Priests depend on the bishops for the exercise of the and authority in the church. Priests consecrate the Eucharist at the Mass, forgive sin in confession, and anoint the sick, and preach. All the priests of a diocese in union with the bishop constitute the priestly college of the diocese. From the Catechism of the Catholic Church, Feen 84, since it is ultimately Christ who acts and effects salvation through the ordained minister, the unworthiness of the latter does not prevent Christ from acting. Deacons are ordained to serve the bishop. Deacons also serve the priests and communities to which they are assigned by the bishop. They assist at the celebration of the Eucharist. They can bless marriages and proclaim and preach, preside at funerals and perform works of charity in the name of the Church. The cardinal serves the Pope and the archdiocese. An archdiocese is the principal diocese in a province. Priests serve the bishop and the parish. Some are pastors in local churches. Some are administrators in the diocese offices. Some are evangelizers. Their list of functions are limitless but do have one constant. They are to be of service to the diocese to which they have been assigned. Deacons' responsibilities. Their first responsibility is to their biological family. Then they serve the local bishop. Next they serve the local priest to whom the bishop assigns them. Then they serve the local community. Remember, I am with you always to the end of the age. Matthew chapter 28 verse 20.